Hi, my name is Joseph Alai. Welcome to my channel. And today I want to talk about assumptions, what assumptions do, and what they're doing right now, and why I think they're a little bit overlooked and why we should be focusing on assumptions. So first of all, assumptions essentially are the ideas or beliefs that are alive inside of us. So from my experience, I think most of the assumptions inside of me I'm not fully aware of. It's what's kind of operating as my entire experience, belief systems, conclusions, judgments, the way that I think the world works, or the way that you think the world works. The interesting thing is, though, is eventually once we make a conclusion, which we have complete free will to do, is we begin to hold the world in that light. The world will begin to move and form together to prove to you the things that you believe. So ever since we were a kid, and all the years of our lives, every day of our life, growing up, even until this very moment, we continuously make judgments. We listen to what other people tell us, our views on the way that the world works, the tragedies that have happened to us. We have our framework of sorts is our beliefs, our assumptions. And like I said, it either comes, in the end, it all comes from what we choose to believe, but a lot of it comes from growing up through childhood and, like I said, the experiences that we encountered in life. And once we have these things in our mind, once our beliefs and ideas and assumptions are framed or set, then they begin to execute continuously. Some of them lay dormant. Some of them only happen when a certain circumstance happens, such as, for instance, all women, this is a common one, like all men leave me, or that. So that would be a judgment or a belief, or technically what I'm calling an assumption. And so like the thing is that once this is executing, when we get into a relationship, oftentimes we begin to see the same thing happen again. But the interesting part is that we must make those beliefs true. So we will be moved to make those beliefs true, and then the whole world will be moved to make those beliefs true. So when you create an assumption, which is very simple, when you create an assumption, you impress it on the subconscious mind, and then the entire world will be moved to make that assumption true for you, and also you will be moved to make that assumption true. So if we can begin to analyze our past, we look at what's been happening in our life. What's our beliefs? What's your beliefs on money? Do you think money is hard to come by? Do you think you have to save every penny? Do you think that people cheat and are trying to get over on you? And then when you go back and you say, why do I believe this? It could be because an event happened to you, but oftentimes it goes further than that, to someone telling us, like a parent or grandparent or friend or some type of advisor saying, oh, you have to be very careful with every penny, save, save, save. I know that's what my father always tells me. And that all will become true continuously forever and ever and ever. And so the interesting thing is that when we manifest, a lot of times we think of the big thing that we want. We want the money, we want the job, the fame, the fortune, the health, the specific person. But we leave a lot of the other things that are always manifesting untouched because we're so used to them, right? We see the object of our desire, and then we create an imaginal act to impress that upon the subconscious mind, which in turn manifests on the screen of space. But the rest of the world continues in the way that your mind is making it continue. So the idea then is to take a look, and this is the way now that I manifest the most. I manifest through assumptions. So an assumption, as I said, is basically a belief. As soon as a belief is in my subconscious mind, the whole world will change to fit that belief. So an example of this is if I, as a belief that I want to create, right? So say, for instance, I want to remove a belief. Say I have a belief that money's hard to come by, people screw me on deals all the time, that any horrible negative thing of scarcity in the mind, say I want to overwrite that, right? I want that gone. So the negative belief, for instance, in this case, which is actually true for me, is that it's very difficult to get money. You have to work extremely hard to get money. And even when you do, you have to be very careful with it at all times. So if I'd never had addressed that, and yet the object of my desire is to have $1 billion, then I will continue to operate in the way of working harder, not smarter. The world will still meet me with force, right? I will have to work hard. Things will be difficult to attain. And then when I get it, it's going to leave fast. And that's just the truth, right? That happens all the time. If we have negative beliefs about ourselves, relationships, I mean, look at the way that you think, right? Think of the way that you think. It's called meta thinking. Think of the way you think. Are your thoughts negative? Do you have a low self-esteem? What do you feel about, like, if the object of your desire is a relationship? Do you have negative feelings all the time? Are you constantly thinking of your self-worth? I'm not good enough. He's special. She's special. Oh my God, I can't believe she likes me. He likes me. Money. Basically what I said, money's hard to come by. You have to work extremely hard. If you ignore those and you go and imagine the object of your desire, then you will still manifest your desire, but it will come and meet you in the way in which you actually believe that it will happen, right? So, and then your mind is going to self-sabotage, right? So the thoughts inside of us, for some reason, this is a good trick. If you have thoughts that are negative, first you ask yourself, what are these thoughts that are negative? You look at them and then you say, okay, what is the basis of truth behind these assumptions? We'll come up with an answer. And then you say again, okay, what's the basis of truth of that assumption? And then you go back and back. I can guarantee you 99% of the time it's going to be based on what someone told you in the past, which from their experience is some fear from their life, but something that they had manifested. And they're obviously, like, this is the way that I see it with my scarcity mindset that I used to have. It's through like my parents loving me and like trying to have me to be careful, but there's no basis of fact. And in fact, the real truth is that if I imagine something completely different, like money just comes to me easily and effortlessly, and that the less work I do, the more money I make, and that I come up with brilliant ideas that make tons of money, those will all become true. So, but if I never acknowledge those, if I never go in and overwrite them, then they will continue to execute. And if I receive the object of my desire, those same thoughts that were there before will still be there. And still being there, it's going to cause some problems. So this is the way to overwrite negative assumptions, and this is the way to create new assumptions. So as I said, this is the way that I most commonly manifest now. But what I do is, in the case of money, if I want to believe that money comes to me easily and effortlessly, if I want to believe that every hour I spend, every hour that I don't spend working, or every hour I cut off of working, I make twice as much money. So what I would do is I would think of those things. Anything which would embody the fulfillment of that desire. Anything, if I have any negative thoughts, it's not most necessary to find the target of where it came from as it is to just find the solution. We don't have to find the root of the problem, we just have to imagine the end. If we imagine the end, then all things will conspire together to give us what we want, including ourselves. Our own mind subconsciously will begin to change and make us operate in such a way for that to become true. So we take a statement such as, money comes to me easily and effortlessly. I write that down. This is the actual technique that I use, and I do this on a daily basis, more than I do anything else, more than I do imagine anything else. I write down what I want. And it's kind of like the morning lists that which, by the way, if you don't know, if you write down a list, I would highly recommend this to start engaging you in testing manifesting so you can become an expert from your own experience. But you write down a list of 10 things per day, 10 to 15 things per day, as if you already have them. For instance, I receive a free cup of coffee, or I continuously receive free cups of coffee. And you write that down. That's it. Just write it down. One after the other, stream of consciousness style, begin to write those things down. If you do that alone, you will begin to see them manifest, which is proof that every thought of ours has the power to manifest and is manifesting to some degree. So you take that type of technique and you use it for the type of personality that you want, for the way that the world works. Money comes to me easily and effortlessly. I work smarter, not harder. The less I work, the more money I earn. Or I am valued in all my relationships. My relationships are mutual. My partners are in love with me just as I'm in love with them. Anything, it's a generalization of the way that the world works, because that is the way that the world works right now. It's all based off of our mind, because everything in our mind has created this experience before us. So if we begin to systematically create the way that the world works, you will begin to see the world begin to shift. So it's kind of like a ship, we have the ship of our mind that's been going in such a direction for such amount of time, and we're turning it around. We don't know exactly which levers we have to pull to turn it around, because we don't know 100% which assumptions are alive in us. But what we want to do is begin to generate different assumptions to embody the fulfilled desire. Money comes to me easily and effortlessly. Wealth is natural to me. Whatever the case may be, and I write all those things down. So that in and of itself will manifest eventually. It'll all start to manifest. And I do this every single day, either just a couple things, or sometimes if I have a desire, I'll write 20, 30, 40 things. If I have a desire I'm fixated on, I'll write 20, 30 different, 40 different assumptions which prove that to be true. And then you slowly start to see, or fast, start to see the world change. It can happen instantly, or it could take a little while, depending on the nature of the assumption. But that's how I create my assumptions. And in a way that it'll impress the subconscious mind, and then a bridge of incidents will begin to unfold and lead us to that end. It will begin to change the fiber of our entire world. And the awesome thing is that I just write them down and I never have to look at them again. Not recently, like 3 or 4 months ago, I had written down something that said, people invite me to stay at their houses for vacations. It's still executing to this day. People who said, why did I even say that? I would never say that to somebody. And I notice I wrote it in a general way, as if it is happening now. And that's the key. And so I do that for my entire future. I think, okay, if I had exactly what I want now, what would it be? Right? And I'll think of that, and then I'll write it as many generalizations down as I want. And then just to top it off, if you want to go even further, you can imagine someone telling it to you. Imagine them congratulating you on the fact that, wow, it seems like every hour less you work, you make double the amount of money. And then me reaffirming in my imagination that that is true. And so that's the way to do it. So anyway, I hope you like this. If you did, definitely subscribe, hit the bell icon, go to the website sovereignmind.com and register for my email list, and stay tuned for more. Thank you so much for watching.